Where's my notes? Here they are. Jack is back with another Reading Festival video. Shock, shock, there's a surprise. After I released my last video, I received quite a lot of different comments claiming that Reading Festival is no longer a rock festival. I wanted to challenge that by looking at some of the figures. I wanted to look at the current poster, which by the way looks great, and compare that with previous years and ask the question, is Reading Festival still a rock festival? To gauge this better, me and my little brother, we've been looking at a lot of data, and I'd quite like to share these results with you now.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
On the current poster there is without a doubt loads of hip-hop names.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
One line flows, yeah, I got some of those.
What's on the rules for breakfast today?
I'm not second, but I am top 2.
So firstly, what I want to do is look at the current poster and kind of break down some of the artists and see how the genre ratio compares. For the purposes of this essay, I will not be including the alternative stage, the silent disco, the BBC introducing stage, or any of the drink-based stages, such as the Jack Rock stage or the Jägermeister 10 in previous years. That leaves us with a total of 6 stages to choose from. In my previous video, I calculated how each genre is represented in the top 40. Using this method, we can also look at the current poster to work out how each genre is represented there. And therefore, we can compare this with previous years to see how the festival is changing. To accurately do this, I've broken each subgenre down into 4 main genres: rock, urban, dance and pop. In 2016 we can see there was a total of 117 rock bands, making up 61% of the total weekend versus the 36 urban acts, which made up a total of 19%. The same can also be said for dance music, which made up another 19%. Last year in 2017 we saw a slight shift. Pop music increased by 3%, to make up 5% of the total lineup. Urban music took a total of 21%, and rock's proportion across the whole lineup dropped to 57%. How does this compare to the poster that was released today? It's actually quite impressive. Urban music represents 26% of the lineup, dance music makes up 20%, pop has increased to 6%, but rock music still makes up 47% of the total acts that have been announced. Now, you can't deny that hip-hop isn't on the rise. It clearly is, and with good reason, as I pointed out in my previous video. But this is hardly the urban takeover that everyone is claiming, and Reading is still without a doubt an alternative, band-driven, rock-based festival. Another factor to take into consideration with this is how many bands have been announced versus what we expect to see on the final lineup. Last year when we had this poster, we had a total of 94 names versus was it 94 names? Well, actually 94 names. Let's have a quick look. We had 94 names versus a final figure of 214. The point is that in comparison to the final lineup we expect to see, this poster makes up a very small proportion. And now that we have the stage splits, we can guess that we have 70% of the pit, 65% of the one extra stage, half of the Radio 1 tent, and 30% of the main stage yet to be announced. So keep your socks on, we've still got loads to see. The last factor to consider is how many bands you expect to see across the weekend. In total, my record is 30, that was in 2011, I went with my buddy Jack. We went as a duo, we'd go into the arena at 11 o'clock in the morning, we'd have a beer and a burger, and we'd leave after the headliner in the evening. But usually I'd be pretty happy if I saw anywhere between 20 and 25 bands, especially when you take into consideration the cost of the festival versus how much it would be to see those people in individual concerts. So taking last year into consideration, we can estimate that we'll get around 214 acts across the weekend. And with this current poster, we have 95, which shows us that we've got roughly 44% of the final poster, not including secret gigs, of course. So using this, we can calculate how many acts we should be excited to see on this poster. The math is, you take how many bands you would expect to see, you divide that by 100. You times that by the total bands on the first poster divided by the total bands on the final poster. You take that figure, you times it by 100, and this should equal the total amount of bands that you plan on seeing on this poster. A much easier way of working this out is that if you see kind of 21 bands over the course of the weekend, then you see around kind of 10%. So you should like 10% of this poster. To put it even easier, you should like out 9 names. Now, this maths is flawed, of course it is, because this poster only represents the bigger names. And you won't be able to see all of the headliners at the same time, but the point is that it isn't fully representative of the final festival. And most of the time, you only get the opportunity to see a small amount of what's offered. Personally, I counted 25 names on this poster. I'm particularly excited about Happy Meal Limited. They're playing on Saturday on the Festival Republic tent. It's going to be insane. So I actually have my weekend sorted just in this poster. Anything else that gets announced is just a bonus for me. And that's not even including the BBC introducing stage. So my question is, how many names on this poster do you like? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really intrigued. And I hope this video helps you decide whether this is a good festival or not. Most of the time, you only get the opportunity to see a small amount of what? The opportunity to see a small amount of what is offered. You only get and most of the time, you only get an opportunity to see. For fuck's sake, you fucking shit.